Dear friends, I, Anil Khanna from Modi Galien Foundation, extend a warm welcome to all of you on the third annual celebration of Forum and Award Ceremony organized by the Modi Galien Foundation. Now, may I request Sir Modi to please come on the stage and give some few words to the audience.
Distinguished guests, respected panelists, speakers, scientists, research colleagues, and friends. I think today we are a bit late because of the traffic problems, but never mind. It's a great honor for me as chairman of the Modi Galien Foundation to address the International Symposium on AI and Life Sciences. I would like to warmly congratulate the Galien Foundation for organizing this timely and much needed forum that brings together leading minds to reflect on the future of science, technology, and human well-being. We are living in a truly transformative era. Artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping the world around us, from how we communicate and work to how we discover medicine, diagnose diseases, and deliver healthcare. The potential of AI is extraordinary, but with such power comes an equal profound responsibility. History teaches us that every major scientific breakthrough can serve both constructive and destructive purposes. Nuclear energy, for example, has contributed enormously to peaceful energy generation and scientific advancement. Yet the same knowledge has also produced weapons capable of devastating humanity. I mean, we can see what's going on around us right now. Artificial intelligence presents us with a similar moral challenge. Used wisely, AI can revolutionize healthcare. It can accelerate drug discovery, enable earlier diagnosis, predict disease patterns, and make advanced medical care accessible to millions who currently lack it. But if misused, the same technology can fuel digital crime, misinformation, cyber warfare, exploitation, and erosion of human dignity. That is why it's absolutely essential that we focus on ethical use of AI. Technology must remain guided by human values. AI must serve humanity, not threaten it. It must uplift societies, not divide them. Today's symposium focuses on AI and the life sciences, a field where the possibilities of human welfare are immense. Health, after all, is not a privilege of the fortune few. Health is a fundamental right of every human being. Science and technology must ultimately serve the well-being of all people around the world. Yet, we must also acknowledge with humility that vast areas of life sciences remain unexplored. Despite the remarkable advances of modern medicine, there is still no medicine that is truly perfect. Even the most effective treatments often come with side effects. Many diseases continue to challenge our understanding. Science must therefore continue its journey of discovery. We all know that death is an inevitable part of life. The old must make way for the new. That is a natural rhythm of existence. But as members of the scientific community, we share a noble responsibility to ensure that the journey of life itself is as healthy, dignified, and pain-free as possible. A disease-free and pain-free life should be the birthright of every human being. Physical health and emotional well-being are deeply interconnected. In my own reflection, which I've explored in my book In Love with Death, I speak about the importance of recognize the finite nature of life. I've already placed a copy of the book for all of you. When we remember that life is temporary, we begin to value every moment more deeply. We strive to live with good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, cultivating inner peace and happiness. While artificial intelligence can assist us in achieving remarkable progress and solving complex problems, it cannot replace the essence of our humanity. Love, compassion, joy, peace, and happiness are not products of technology. They are gifts of the human heart. India's ancient knowledge traditions also offer valuable insight for the future of healthcare. India is the home of Ayurveda, a system of medicine that seeks not merely to suppress symptoms but to address the root cause of disease through natural balance. This is an area where artificial intelligence can open fascinating new possibilities. AI can help analyze vast bodies of traditional knowledge, study medicinal plants, identify bioactive compounds, and uncover healing potential hidden within the nature. By combining modern science with ancient wisdom, we may discover more holistic and sustainable approach to health. The future of life sciences may well be at the intersection of technology, ethics, and nature. As we begin this symposium, I hope our discussions will help guide the responsible and ethical use of AI so that this extraordinary technology becomes a force for healing, knowledge, and human progress. Once again, I congratulate the Galien Foundation for organizing this important symposium and the Gates Foundation for sponsoring this forum. I look forward to the insights that will emerge from today's dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Modi, for your clear views about AI on the health and as well about your book In Love with Death. We are gathered here for the discussion on AI on health. At present, we have a quite learned personalities here to discuss about the AI. The session led by, in fact, the Gates Foundation and is represented by Mr. Harish Iyer. He is the Director, Health, R&D and Digital Innovation and AI India, Gates Foundation, and he is the moderator. And next person is Dr. Digambar Behra. He is the President, National Academy of Medical Sciences of India. And third person is Professor Narendra Kumar Mehra, former Dean and National Chair of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And the fourth is Dr. Shri Shendu Mukherjee, Managing Director, Vadhwani Innovation Network, Vadhwani Foundation. Session Vision AI is reshaping clinical research from protocol designs and recruitment to real-world evidence and post-approval monitoring. India can combine its digital public infrastructure with scientific excellence to build faster, more inclusive, and more cost-effective clinical trials that directly advance global health equity. The special session led by the Bill Gates Foundation will explore how AI-enabled tools can reduce timelines, improve participant diversity, strengthen regulatory confidence, and ensure that innovation reaches the patients and community most in need. It also set the thematic direction for the entire evening, linking R&D acceleration in ethical and system-level deployment. The main questions here and for the core discussions are AI-enabled trial acceleration and smarter protocol design. Number two, digital biomarkers and decentralized hybrid trial models. Number three, real-world evidence data quality and regulatory trust. Fourth is AI for equity and scalable deployment of new interventions. Now I invite Mr. Harish Iyer and Dr. Digambar Behra, Professor Narendra Kumar Mehra, and Dr. Shishandu Mukherjee for discussion on the stage. Please come and we can have your views from your side. Thank you, Mr. Harish Iyer. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you for inviting us to present and talk at this very distinguished forum on a very critical topic. I'll maybe make a few opening remarks and then pose some questions to our panelists. Of course, panelists, please feel free to share your thoughts, opening thoughts as well while you're starting to answer the question. I think we have a very interesting session ahead. AI is truly a revolutionary technology that is transforming the world. Inside the Gates Foundation, our sense is that the time constant here is 9 months. It's continuously changing, new models coming out. And it's kind of amazing what it could do. Of course, there's a lot of fear about it in terms of what it can do. So I think that we've been working very hard to see how AI can be used for social good. So this is not about selling useless things to people to go spiritual, a little bit more spiritual. It is not about attacking, weaponry, killing. It is really about not being left behind, a great country like India and more broadly the global south not being left behind. So I think that's been the intent with which we have tried to look at it. So, and my questions to all of you would be in that sort of spirit. Dr. Behera, maybe I should start with you, but please do give some comments before you talk about the questions. We do know that AI-derived endpoints in clinical trials are really something that is, starting to happen. People are thinking about it, and and I wanted to get your sense of how you view the Indian ecosystem and the CDESCO, the regulator, and I'm going to talk only about, quote unquote modern medicine, not necessarily about Ayurveda, but it could be a question that's applicable to any form of medicine. How are you seeing how that whole world is progressing? But would love to hear first your thoughts on the whole subject, and then maybe understand how, as in your current role as well, how this whole area of AI-derived endpoints happens.
So thank you and very good evening to everybody. As very rightly said, the artificial intelligence is going to affect various spheres of our life, not only healthcare. So its usefulness in the health, various aspects of health, be it healthcare delivery, be it medical research, be it medical education, and every aspect of health is likely to be affected by artificial intelligence, and more towards the positive side of it, rather I should say. Speaking specifically about utility in the clinical trials and in the clinical research setting, I'll just like to maybe summarize in one or two sentences. There is what we call in medical science is the rule of 10. So for the clinical trial or for discovery of any drug, particularly oncology drugs, it is always said that if a molecule comes to the market, you have to spend about $10 million. It takes about 10 years minimum, and the success rate is only 10%. So that is what it is told as 10%, rule of 10%. But whereas I should say if we are using the artificial intelligence, starting from identifying a molecule, then its prospects, its future potential, then doing and going to the real clinical trial, starting from patient selection, site selection, then the administering the drug, how to do the randomization, everything to the data analysis, side effects, everything. So that will be done in a much faster and much less time. So that, I think that is what is the potential that is coming up. But however, while telling so, and I think there are still dilemmas. We are not yet very clear. Let me put it that way. As far as I know, we are not yet very clear about how exactly it is going to be utilized in a generalized way as we do. It has got now already being used by bigger pharmaceutical companies. They are doing that. There are, of course, worldwide experience is already there. But still we have got concern about the ethics, about the issue of data safety, the issue of data accuracy, and as I told you about the ethical values, and then many regulatory bodies, whether the data produced by it, the methods adopted by it, whether they are really we should accept that straight away or not, that dilemma is still going on. And I should say still the churning is going on. So I'll just put myself there. So maybe others can add to that.
Do you see the regulator also? Are committees advising the regulator?
Uh,
Do you see the regulators being advised by experts such as yourself? Obviously, the balance of caution. Also, how do you innovate with this technology constantly changing? Maybe.
Yeah, that's as I told you, always the concern is there. Suppose you are feeding some data or whatever data, we are analyzing a big data. All your result will depend on what data is fed, whether that data is manipulated, whether so that is what is actually the main concern. That is what is the ethical issue. That is always a dilemma. So I should say at even the present time, although I am little convinced about that, but I will put a question mark. Say for example, now we are having lot of meetings about various drug trials, simply which that we are already doing regular meetings, but I don't think we have yet, we are still going the traditional way. Not yet, we are, we have not seen anybody submitting that, or anybody, the government has accepted that. I think that dilemma is still there. So I can't give you a very clear answer.
Thank you. Professor Mehra, would you like to
I can
share?
just make a short remark to what Dr. Behra said, and your point about the regulator there. Now that the AI has come into all aspects of our life, we cannot really escape it, and I think the maximum impact is being felt on the healthcare, and also I think there's a lot of impact on science acceleration. Besides the role on transportation, you name anything and all that. But I think when we are talking about the clinical trials, it's very important to establish industry-wide ethical standards now, because with the new norm that will come up, and also strong safeguards, they are very essential for the human dignity, privacy and rights. And from the point of view of the regulatory bodies and industry groups should implement compliance enforcement in a way that, because now you're going to leave the patient recruitment to the ML. You have a system, rather than doing it manually, it will be done by the machine there. So I think it is becoming very, very important that both the regulatory bodies as well as the industry must come up with enforcements that will take care of the human dignity there.
Thank you. Shishandu, would you like to add anything to that?
Thank you, Harish. First of all, let me thank Modi sir, Sunil ji, and Professor Ashutosh for the invite today, and you inviting me to this panel and to be part with these luminaries here today. I am just a small fry into it. But as you know, working with you also in the Gates Foundation and the Grand Challenges and the Wellcome Trust and supporting innovation, I think Anurag will speak after this panel. He will also throw some more light on this. What as an innovation funder we find when we look at translational research, which leads to clinical trial, is a 360-degree concept of innovation. We are very good at basic research, no questions on that. But when we come to translate that innovation into a process or a product or a vaccine or a drug, we lack that expertise from the bottom. So that is the reason I think we have been, what we always promote is 360-degree innovation, where a basic researcher, a clinical researcher, talk to each other what they want, what they need, so that when product or a vaccine or a drug or anything moves from bench going towards bedside, the researcher knows how the product should be formed. The clinician will give the idea how it can be, released and what should be the formulation look like and what should be the process to be given. A regulator, if it is involved from the very beginning, you can have a brief about the regulatory standards which it should need. So that will definitely help us to cross the valley of death of the innovation. So that is the reason I think what we should always think is when we start any work on anything, on any vaccine, drug, diagnostics, which needs clinical validation, we should think to the very end. You should think the story from literally once upon a time to the happily lived ever after, so that where the bottlenecks can be, or where, as you rightly framed the question, structural bottlenecks can be. We should think from the very beginning. And now AI has come into forces. So I think a lot of things can be sorted out through using AI. We have seen during COVID times, you were working very closely during COVID time with us. Anurag is there, he will also tell that story. We came out with a vaccine, sir knows, vaccine in 12 months. It doesn't mean that we bypassed anything. We crossed all the processes. We vaccinated our 1.3 billion people. We supplied to 100 plus countries. Regulatory, very strongly approved with good immunogenicity data, and everything was done. So I think we need to talk from there. AI will definitely help us to move from literally, the trial has to be across demographies, across population, across geographies. So I think AI is going to help us big way in that. So that's what we are telling is, innovation can't be concentrated into one particular zone or structure. We have to democratize innovation. And to democratize innovation, we have to bring in AI tool so that we can literally take the innovation across broad areas. We can use AI tools too, but for that, as sir said, ethical standards, good data sets, verified data sets, otherwise we might have a different story to tell. So that needs very, very structured way of moving forward. So we at the foundation, and you are aware of it, trying to create these innovation hubs where groups of people across the spectrum who are needed to translate a vaccine or a drug or a diagnostic will talk to each other. Use various AI tools into it if they are available. Otherwise, need to develop that. You have to go to it. What we think is clinical trials should not be, and AI will help in that, is not concentrated around hospital, but we have to move out of it to demographies. I think that is the way we should look at promote. This will help us to promote translational research, innovation in India, and take the innovation outside India as well with a strong data set. I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Shishandu. Professor Mehra, now I'm coming to you and switching topics a little bit. You spent a lot of your career looking at the diversity, the immunological diversity of Indian populations. As clinical trials try to use molecular subtype to stratify patients, and if a lot of these clinical trials are happening outside India, obviously AI, you're going to create lots and lots of data. If AI is being used globally to do some of this, will our Indian genotypes, molecular structures of humans in India, is that represented in global databases? I'm really, of course, thinking about the equity question. You find some great way to solve for diabetes or cardiovascular, but if it's dependent on this genotype, and you can argue, you could tell me that doesn't matter, or maybe it matters. So it's a very broad question, but want to understand, is enough Indian data represented in global databases, and how do you imagine that interacting with this whole health research?
I think you've raised a very, very important point, and this is one area where my team has been working for many, many years in the AIMS and all. And we demonstrated that the population of India, although very close to the Caucasian population in terms of the genetic profile of several genes, and the genes that we have been interested in mostly has been the HLA genes, the human leukocyte antigen genes that we match for selecting a donor for organ transplantation or bone marrow transplantation. And there we saw that the diversity of these genes in the population in India is very high because these genes are involved with the immune response. These are also referred to as the immune response genes. And because of our microenvironment is surrounded by so many microbes, we have a very diverse immune system here. We have a very diverse, not only the immune system, but also the genetic system that presents the pathogen to the immune system there. So our diversity is very high. And the conventional clinical trials, as you have seen, they are concentrated on populations of the West. A very few, if at all. And of course, there are big clinical trials that are done for big drugs. These are very expensive, of course. Generally, a sort of clinical trial could cost you as much as $2 million to $2 billion. And it takes about 90 months, actually. And they are concentrated in populations of the West, I would say Caucasian population, the white race. Very few, if at all, other races. And, they take maybe 8 or 10 hospitals from India. 8 or 10 hospitals in India are too small because India is a subcontinent. The number of ethnic groups that we have in India is very, very large. And so therefore the genetic profile, when you look at the molecular subtypes, is very different from the West. And if you do a trial only based on concentrated on one particular population, that's not going to be good. Actually, at the end of the day, you're missing a very large population around the world. You're not being very fair to them. Of course, we have seen, and I'm part of the ethical board of many hospitals in India now. We do see for any big drug trial, there are 200 sites around the world. There are only about 8 or 10 from India. That's not enough, unless we've got 50 sites. So representation of ethnic groups and the racial groups in the conventional critical trials has been always a subject of the debate and neglect over there. We hope that the AI can help on that, because AI would be able to tell you right on the face there, look, this is not being done or that's not being done. So sure, our population, although we are very similar to the Caucasian population, but over the years, over centuries, I would say, because of two things, because of the racial admixture that we had, and the other I said, and I call it as a natural sort of phenomenon, where you have to fight the organism because you are surrounded by too many microbes, and not in the West. You've seen that the population of Scandinavia, there the infections are very low, and the autoimmunity is very high. And this is a hygiene hypothesis. We know parts of the world where the infections are high, the autoimmunity is high. We have both. We have autoimmunity also very high. In fact, we entered the 21st century with the notion that we are now going to have lifestyle diseases more, the cardiology and all that. I will give you one more example and then I will stop and maybe Dr. Behra can tell us. We did some studies on type 1 diabetes. The susceptibility genes or susceptibility haplotypes, as we say, the long sort of whole genetic system. In the West is only one haplotype. We have number of them, about 8 of them. Wow. And this is a study that we only did in population around Delhi area and in Chennai. Chennai, because there's a very big diabetes center, Dr. Mohan. Yeah. This is a study that needs to be done all over India and seen. And I'm sure there's going to be surprises over there. So from your point of view, yes, our population is very diverse. Our population is not as well represented in conventional clinical trials as it should be. Hopefully, AI will help.
Great. Thank you so much, Professor Mehra. I think you're also making the point that we have to figure out how to tailor therapies. Perhaps different therapies work for different populations. It's very complicated, obviously, as a question. Imagine if you had the same, I'm thinking about vaccines. You had a COVID vaccine developed. Everybody got the vaccine, but to understand the impact of that vaccine in the Indian population, in multiple populations, is a complex, I assume, because there's an immune response connected to it. Your HLA types will matter, and so it's a complex question.
I think COVID taught us a lot of things, and as Sharbindu said, You know, the vaccine was made in a matter of 10 months. Remarkable. If you look at generally in the past, a vaccine takes about 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And the only vaccine that took us only 4.5 to 5 years was the MMR. Otherwise, every vaccine has taken about 5 years, and we have no vaccine for HIV, and you are from Gates Foundation. And
Very
many
challenging.
other viral diseases.
TB as well, and
We have been
malaria.
working, and we were very enthused that now that we have the mRNA platform there, we will be able to use that as a platform for making vaccines for those viral diseases. And the TB on which Dr. Behra
Yes.
is the boss.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
he has done huge amount of work on
Absolutely.
TB, but we don't have a vaccine on TB.
Yeah. Dr. Behra, please. The broader question on how does AI help? How do you think AI could help with its incredible capability? I think you also made the point that, hey, how much can you trust it? You know, how do you build that trust was a core question from a clinical trial complex perspective, but in terms of science, in driving innovation in countries which are generally viewed as, you know, challenging. I mean, challenging populations, diverse populations, very complicated disease, which you're an expert on. How do you imagine something like AI helping this, the causes?
Now, as Professor Mehra rightly said, and you also indirectly pointed out that whenever you are doing any clinical trial or any clinical research, you see the entire population must be and should be represented. Even without AI, always there is a slip. The agencies, they will try to push upon you as the convenient trial. They will try to do whatever is convenient to them. Say for example, I am an investigator. They want to do the trial. They are happy with me, and then I have got a rapport with me. So then I will be given that is usually we see in the regulatory meetings, which we usually see, and always we tell them, you see whether they are not, I mean, appropriately they are distributed or not. We have got even not only the population, it is the geography. In the region wise, it is different. North, south, northeast go, then there the profile is entirely different. Some disease profiles. Similarly, the gender.
I'm going to interrupt you and ask you a question there. Do you imagine, don't accuse me of being too techno-utopian here, do you imagine that you can model this diversity? I'm going to say digital twin, but could you understand what the average Indian is and the distribution of the population? You mentioned the distribution is different. How do you, can those kinds of things, we have to think, I'm just thinking about not from a regulatory approval, but from a science basis. Can we think about this complexity of this country? Does AI provide an opportunity for us to understand this population better and increase the chance of success? There will always be real data, absolutely. But when you're thinking about it upfront, are there folks working on understanding the genotype, phenotype across the country? It's sort of a basic science, human physiology, AI, digital twin sort of approach. So I'm just thinking aloud.
Yes, I think the AI will definitely help, and rather it will be easier in what I could imagine. It will be easier possibly to see, suppose I ask the AI what should be my population, what should be my targeted population, I am sure the AI will tell me, yes, in a country like India, you should see that population of all types, the genders, of all types of age, the age range. So they are to be, which may be difficult manually, although we know theoretically, yes, it should be done that way, but it is not practicable doing it manually or just thinking. So I am sure AI will be, is going to come to our help. The AI will definitely say, no, this population, whatever population size you are going to take, yes, it is lacking. There is nobody from North India, nobody from South India. So this age is not, this age is, not there, this age group is not represented. This sex, you don't have got the distribution of males and females in it. So I think the AI is going to catch it and going to pinpoint, no, it is not correct, it should be done this way. I think the AI will be quite helpful in that.
Thank you. Thank you. Shishendu, over to you on the same question. This idea of, I mean, I'm trying to get at the core idea of how do you leapfrog? Can these tools help to leapfrog and improve the safety risk, right? I mean, essentially they're saying you might do a complicated trial, you might waste so much money, but can you have a little more assurance from some of these tools to say you're more likely that this medicine might work or some other medicine might?
You know, Harish, anything new will have to be taken with a pinch of salt. That's my view. I'm not contradicting.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, of course.
Being in a funding agency, you also see almost 1,000+ grants application in a year. You know, we are all aware of ChatGPT. Lot of applications which come to us has been made through ChatGPT. When we put that question in, and we find, you know, you should use these technologies, but you have to refine it further. You have to, you know, validate it further. You have to put your intellectual input also into it. So that question said and done, of course, yes. Bottom line is, yes, it will help. As sir mentioned, demographic diversity, you know, regional changes, weather conditions, all can be, you know, modeled, tooled into this. But what it requires, you know, right now, capacity is a big challenge in, you know, when we work on AI is capacities. We are tuned to a standard regulatory protocol. So, you know, basic researchers, clinicians, regulators, and, you know, when we do the trial, you know, the people who do the trial, they all have to be, a strong capacity needs to be. So what we call is the backbone needs to be built into it. Then once that, so that what is slightly missing right now, especially in reference to clinical trials, I think we need to develop that backbone. And I think foundation like yours, ours are all working towards it to develop and create that backbone and intellectual understanding of the things. I think training for frontline workers and trust of, you know, people who are the policy makers into the system, that this trial has been used, these tools of AI, this is the outcome. Now, the policymakers, the you know, the peer-reviewed journals where you publish the data, they should have a faith in that tool. Okay, once we do a classical clinical trial, you have a statistically significant data set. You have subjects. You have designed a trial that this many subjects are there. This is what it is. You get and you feel a sense of satisfaction. But AI needs to be tuned and developed for that. So that is the first thing. Capacity needs to be built in, and capacity not through our AI experts, but from the clinical researchers to the people who administer it, who do the trial, and how to collect the data, what are the ethical standards to do it, who should be excluded, who should be included, you know, that all needs to be built in. Secondly, you know, the thing which is important is the buy-in of the regulators. Once that is built in and that is shown, you know, you have to validate that and show it that, okay, we did a trial using a standard protocol, which is a classical way of doing it, and this was the AI. The results have this variation level, which is acceptable. Then the regulator has to be brought into the place. Once that is brought, and then you have to publish it, and then you have to talk to the policy makers, you have to, you know, talk to the scientific community, the clinical community, that understand. So that gap is a critical gap right now, though we are working towards it. But once we build that backbone and that gap, I think, of course, AI will help us to accelerate trial, to do a, you know, diverse trial, you know, multi-centric, multi-city. We can move trials from hospital to villages also. You know, to the place, PHC, CHCs can be brought in, where a lot of things are said. Diabetes is not only in the tier 1 cities, it is there also in tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. So you need to do a very multi-centric, multi-city. So AI will definitely help to do that. So, but that we need to build that backbone first, and that will be a challenge, and we will overcome it. I think that's what I think.
Would you like to add something?
Well, Harish, I think हम सब लोग AI के गुण गा रहे हैं. गाने भी चाहिए. और
Actually, we are being cautious,
पर ये भी
Professor
देखना
Mehra.
चाहिए caution भी है कि नहीं.
आप cautious ही बोल रहे हैं.
apart from the job loss and all that, but I think there are many
बिल्कुल,
others.
social losses are
And
different
today,
issue.
many groups, including hospitals, institutions, and pharmaceutical companies, can enhance their market value by leveraging AI technology. You know, so, Shirshendu, I also learned, Chat GPT, and I asked them, what is the definition of AI? And what Chat GPT tells you, AI describes a situation where a machine imitates the cognitive abilities that humans typically identify with human minds, and it includes learning modules and problem-solving flows. We are going to be dependent on machine mind. This is artificial intelligence. We can't really keep the natural intelligence at the back. So we have to be very wary of using AI everywhere. Today, everybody is trying to use AI. You know, you give a topic to some student, he comes up within 2 days, and he writes the kind of English that you see, and he says, this is not by you, man. This must be by the Chat GPT, because this is not your language. You're not going. We used to take 6 months. You know, my boss will give me a sort of something to write down. We go to the library. We sort of, move from one sort of aisle to the other, looking for books and all that. Gone are those days. Today, so there are benefits of AI. I think from the clinical trials point of view, my feeling is AI would help us decentralize that. Today, with the conventional system, we have very centralized. These are our inclusion criteria. These are our exclusion criteria. And there was a study done. There was a phase 3 lung cancer study done. I think there were 3 sort of trials done, which indicated by just sort of changing one little thing from the age and all, it's not going to matter much. But in our conventional system, we say, oh no, the age group has to be so and so and all that. So maybe those decentralization will help. There are quite a few areas where the AI is going to be of very great use. And I did a search of the literature and saw how many, because at the moment we are only talking about how many actual trials have been done using AI.
Can I jump in and ask you a quick question? What about clinical decision support? Do you think what's your sense? You're a clinician, professor.
Oh, my sense is AI is going to be of...
Is it already happening or is it future?
It's not yet happening. We are only talking about it. But I think if I do, I did a search. There is a paper which published just last month. It was in the International Journal of Medical Informatics just last month. They did a systematic search of PubMed, Embase, and the Google Scholar, etc., from January 2015 to December 2024, and they said there are substantial benefits of AI. Of course, they are. They said patient recruitment tools have improved enrollment rates by 65 to 70% there. Number 2, the predictive analytic models achieved 85% accuracy, which is something that we don't achieve in our conventional. And the AI integration reduced the trial timeline huge, about half, and cost by half. The cost benefit is there. And if you come back to me next time, I will give you the examples of where the trials have been done and what have we learned from that.
Great.
I don't want to take away the time of my
Yes.
colleagues,
Yes, I'll just add one important thing we must remember also. Let me tell it that if we use of AI in healthcare, who is going to use it? The ultimately, of course, it is for the people, for the patients, but who are the end users? It is the healthcare professionals, whether he is a researcher, whether he is a clinician, whether he is a teacher. But the question at this juncture, actually, I always say we are AI illiterate. At least myself, I am a AI illiterate, right? So I think first of all, although we don't want to become the master of AI, but at least we should understand what it is. Our understanding should be there. So that is the first step. Maybe with time, the medical curriculum, our medical colleges, the NMC, they are going to introduce something in the curriculum, teaching it to at the various levels. But as I think those who have already passed, we have already crossed that age, but we are still in the practice or doing some research or some teaching. So we should be literate fast, at least to some extent.
I
We
want
can
to
start.
ask Dr. Babera, he's the master of TB diagnosis. Do you think that introduction of AI would help us in early diagnosis, or maybe the latent TB there? I mean, the diseases like these, where we need very early diagnosis.
Yes, you see, as regards the early diagnosis, yes, say for example, I'll start with the chest x-rays, which our program is already using. Because that, if you remember, while that we try to evaluate the use of AI in the diagnosing TB from the chest x-rays. So because there is a lot of deficiency of radiologists in
because
the country.
The human eye can miss a shadow, the ML will not.
Yes, so that it was done, evaluated under the chairmanship of Dr. Katuch.
Yeah.
So that is actually we worked for about the 3 years. We studied about 1 lakh x-rays from different parts of the country, from different settings, from the OPDs, from the private sector, from the private clinics, from the individual doctors. Then there are many issues you also come across very interestingly. Even if you do that, you see the quality of X-ray done at place A, it may not be same as place B. The X-ray taken as machine X, the machine is taken on machine Y.
Variability
so all these things,
inputs.
but ultimately it came out to be very, very good. Actually, in fact, now the program is using that. Yes, so that, but again, we have the question is, it is not always 100%. That is what I always, as a clinician, I want.
It's a starting tool.
It is a starting tool, but
can help.
it can help at
but
least.
But not the ultimate decision maker.
So it is being done that way, sir. And also, say for example, the slides, the AFB, whether the.
My point was not only the early diagnosis and you looking at the X-rays and the shadows that the human eye can miss, and probably the AI can detect that. But say things like latent TB or, those kind of things that go on for months actually, and we are unable to diagnose. Hopefully, introduction of AI and ML, after all, you will have to train your equipment.
Professor Behra, I'm imagining also you could discover the next generation of drugs using AI. The structural biology question, the true equity question of AI, which is the topic here, comes in when people in India will be discovering the next new drugs, right? Because we have a burden. Maybe it's not TB, maybe we'll eliminate TB, I don't know. But even antimicrobial resistance is a problem. More broadly, next generation medication, if it can help to solve for, I don't know if it will, but it could.
I am hoping that introduction of AI will help us counter AMR. AMR is going to be a big problem. But one study has been done in Kenya. Although in India, we have not yet used AI as much, except for one or two things, because we in India, we talk a lot and we sort of use the technology when others have used.
We want to be ahead.
एक गोरा आदमी यूज कर लेगा फिर हम कहेंगे चलो हम भी यूज कर लेते हैं. हम इनिशिएटिव नहीं ले पाते. We only talk. But Kenya में स्टडी हुई है, a collaboration between Panda Health and OpenAI, and they reviewed the urgent care visits, and this study showed that it could reduce diagnostic and treatment errors across all kinds of specialties and all that. And one other thing I want to talk about is because where the AI can help is detection of biomarkers. A very important study done in rheumatoid arthritis. A recent example is that of rheumatoid arthritis and maybe many other autoimmune diseases, where the single cell RNA single cell RNA sequence and transcriptomics has actually revolutionized the identification of unique RNA signatures for better understanding of the disease architecture and how best it can be treated actually. There, to analyze this RNA-seq.
Large data, very large data sets.
You need the AI help. And it seems that, so I think the biomarkers will be of great help, and it is really very important, even though we are all exposed to the Mycobacterium TB, Dr. Bahara only sees as the TB bug. I see that all of us are exposed to it, but only a fraction of us
Absolutely.
develop.
Absolutely.
And what is it? Your immune system is as robust as mine.
What's the difference?
Why
What's the difference?
you develop
Yeah.
TB and not me? So I think there the AI
Interesting.
could be very, very helpful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Shishendu, I'm going to move to another topic if you don't mind. You've worked with many funders. I want to talk a little bit more about frontline and primary care kind of thinking. Do you think that are there interesting tools that frontline workers, you see lots of applications. Have you seen interesting uses for frontline worker application of the use of AI? And do you think if they've been proven, you can tell me if they've been proven or not, what do you imagine are barriers to scale up in a country like ours where it could have a tremendous impact if it's successful?
Yeah. So, let us start. Who is our frontline workers now in our public health system is ASHA workers or a worker at a PHC level. Now, as I said, now if you see ASHA worker going to a household, she uses a smartphone. She uses a smartphone to, otherwise she used to carry a bunch of registers to see, fill in the name, how many, now it is a smartphone. And then that gets uploaded immediately to the server at the PHC and the CHC and so on, and the data is collected. So so that is the first level of a platform which AI needs to develop, the data source. And that data source might be of a maternal and child health related issues, or any infectious diseases related issues, or vaccination related issues, how many people have been vaccinated, or various other issues related to nutrition and other things like that. So I think the first level of use, if it has to be successful, has to start from there. We have a number of pilot studies going on. We have a number of studies going on at that level, which can show. And as I said in the beginning, that if we can empower them with those tools, which is right now going on, and we have been supporting some of the initiatives through our networks as well, that to see that,
maybe you can give one example of what you think in your mind could be transformative for frontline workers, ASHA, A&M, whoever, right?
Yeah.
What do you, just maybe one example?
Yeah. So vaccination coverage is the most easy example, which, can be said how many, kids have been vaccinated through a vaccine which can prevent a disease. That is the first level of improving the health equity in India. And that is the tool which is now widely used. We know that polio has been a very success story. Now the other vaccines which has been added into our immunization, and that is the first level of validation which has been done and is being done. The second level of thing which which is at the grassroots level of is the pre-pregnancy, pregnancy monitoring. That is mother and improving the indicators on mother's health and child health is one of the major criteria of. So I think pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and 1,000 days of childbirth. That sequence, if we are targeting to see when the mother is pre-pregnant, what should be her profile. Then when she gets into pregnancy, what should be the nutrition profile and how she is doing. And then 1,000 days of childbirth, what vaccination the child is getting and how is the development. So that is being used as a very good tool to, to digitize that. So that helps firstly to, manage and maintain mothers and child health. Secondly, you get a data source that, whether the vaccination has been done, if there is any disease, what is that disease and how to be done, when the mother is expected to deliver, whether it is an institutional delivery or a delivery. So, lot of parameters, and there the AI tool is literally helping to forecast it. Harish, I would also like to speak, sir spoke about the chest X-ray and, so there are a lot of innovations which we are trying also to see that AI tool can help. Sir must be knowing cough also. We were looking at cough sound and detection of TB through AI. That has been one of the tools that was not much successful, but at least something came out, and we are still trying to see if the data is relevant. Sickle cell disease, which is one of the major problem in India, and diagnosis at a right level. So we have been supporting, to develop an algorithm so that, you can detect it fast and things can lie. So if we can, detection is the very key thing. So I think sickle cell disease is one of the major things in our Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Bengal, Bihar, that belt. So there also we are supporting a lot of innovations. If we can develop a, sort of a algorithm to see that, these are all slide markers and diagnostic, we can develop that. So I think there we are using it, and as sir rightly said, they are tools, but they need to be validated. But saying so, the first thing which you asked is the frontline health workers. They are getting empowered. That is a very strong thing AI has pushed us into. That if we can empower them, use them, educate them, and build the capacity, that will get that data which we develop, it gets, once the data is developed and verified and, very strong, you can use it in multiple places. It is not that you have that data. So I think that backbone develops.
Thank you,
I just want to, I got reminded by his word of cough sounds. I'm involved with a study with an American group where we look at the sounds, the patients with patients on dialysis, we make a cannula over here. In many of them, the cannula gets actually blocked. And we don't know which one will get blocked, 20% or so. So we're doing a study with the American groups with about 3 or 4 nephrology groups in India, and I'm coordinating that. There we look at the sounds that can be monitored through your smartphone. Sound of that, in the cannula, the blood flow, if the sound becomes dull and all that, that the cannula is going to be blocked. This is going to be of great use, great very help. I wanted to, you have been asking, I want to ask you, you are from a very big organization, the Gates Foundation. Has Gates Foundation been involved in implementing AI technology in one way or the other at this point of time?
I think that we're trying to understand at this point, right? I will say in general, images, could it interpret images? We talked about TB X-ray, ultrasound, MRIs. Image interpretation seems like a good way to task shift. Right? I heard somebody talk about some stroke happens in the night. You have to wake up the radiologist, or can a machine quickly triage and say, is it a hemorrhagic or ischemic stroke, for example? Or your point about sensitivity of looking at nodules in lungs, can it help move quickly, the cough example? And it would be great if you could say, what's the right therapy to give with all the options, right? With Badwani, we've worked on, the risk of who are the high-risk patients, right? And you can imagine this may be straightforward, but at a frontline worker, programmatic level, it could have a big impact. But but I am very interested also in drug discovery, antigen discovery. How do you get the next virus that hits you? Can you use antigen discovery to design the right antigen? There is no reason in my mind that India should be anywhere behind.
Yeah.
We should be at the forefront. So I am always on the lookout for how do we get to the most advanced level? Because this thing about there's the frontline worker level and then the most advanced level. We should be able to span the entire thing, and that's when I think we have really lived up to what potential that a country might have. So I think I'm very keen, and I think from the foundation perspective, that's what my interest is.
Very good. Very good. And the last point from my side is that it's very important, now that we are talking about the introduction of AI in clinical trials and all that, early demonstration of the benefits and the safety of using AI for the clinical trials has to be shown.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're not going to generate confidence in the stakeholders. Stakeholders might say, oh, I might go back to my old system. The conventional system is as good.
I agree with you.
As good. So
I agree with you.
Unless we show benefits in terms of time, benefits in terms of money involved, lots of those things and all that, accountability and and
Agree with you.
Asian with
Yeah.
recruitment and things of that sort.
I think even identifying the right, this antigen design, we can talk about that more. Professor Behera, your thoughts on this frontline worker, what do you think are other interesting tools that you're seeing from your vantage point that could be useful at a primary care level? Because I think primary care is an important part of our health system, so wanted to get your sense from your vantage point.
Yes, I think as we are again possibly moving round and round, the same thing, whether it should be acceptable, whether the confidence of the patient, the confidence of the physician itself. I think that we need to build a lot of confidence building is required also. In addition to the technology, yes, technology will be, may be proven, may not be proven. Say, for example, if I have got a pain in the abdomen, even the can I, if I give you all the data, I am this age, this height, I belong to this place, I had it in that, and then the AI may tell me, yes, you might be having a peptic ulcer, you might be having a biliary colic, something like that. But the question is the patient is going to be satisfied? नहीं, ये तो machine ने बताया हुआ है, ये सही है या नहीं है. But on the other hand, if he goes to a doctor, he listens, he puts the hand on the abdomen, and then, so that part of the things, I am sure it cannot be taken away. So we are still the same thing, I will say, we are still in the dilemma. It may be a great help, it may be a great aid, but it cannot replace the clinician or our clinical staff.
Thank you. Sorry, I know we have 10, do we have 10 more minutes? And should we ask audience questions? Yes, please. Happy to turn over to the audience for any questions you have for this quite amazing panel. Sorry, I came in a bit late on that front. Gentleman there and the lady in the back.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir. Sir, myself is Namita Mehra. I just wanted to ask that whether AI can omit clinical trials, because being into an MSME company, it is very difficult for us to invest crores of rupees in phase 3 or phase 4 trial. So there is any possibility?
I don't think so. Okay, AI cannot omit the clinical trials. Okay, clinical trials will have to be done. The only thing that we were saying that whereas bringing a drug to the market for the conventional way takes about 90 months, and the cost ranges from, depending on the drug, from $2 million to $2 billion, that can substantially come down. But there is no alternative to clinical trials. The trials have to be done on the human. After all, you're giving something from outside to the human body there. We want to know how does the